I just wanted to go ahead and welcome you guys to my morning huddle. Usually in the morning huddle, I like to go ahead and just talk about motivational, positive stuff. And I really wanted to go ahead and share about something, which is basically, the dream that I've had, trying to become a homeowner. And I'm literally going through the process right now. I know how rigorous it could be, how hard it is to try to get to that goal, try to achieve that goal. And I wanted to give you guys some tips today. Not only that, talk a little bit more about my journey also as well. So stay tuned. I was talking to my sales team right now with regards to yesterday, something that I tend to preach a lot, and I didn't do it myself. And this is obviously it's cookbook. It's freaking proven now. So I'm gonna highly encourage you guys to obviously follow that too, because if it happened to me. And as much as I am going to the radio shows or doing whatever thing or going to a conference or doing these morning huddles or doing my YouTube videos. So usually what I like to go ahead and do when I'm going to my radio show, since it's in Spanish, if I don't do evaluations in Spanish, or if I'm not constantly talking in Spanish, or it's been a minute since I've spoken to a Spanish client, to start translating, these technical credit words into Spanish, it's sometimes you really got to think about it, to an extent. I don't know if that happens to you guys, or in a sense, well, I don't know Vlad, because I never hear Vlad talk Russian or anything like that, but I could imagine that you go to the point that you're talking English all the time, and all of a sudden you talk to somebody in Russian, and it's like, oh shoot, I haven't spoken in Russian in a week, and it's like, it just happens, and I kind of felt to myself that so I literally get in there, I felt pumped, I felt good, right? And all of a sudden, I started asking questions, because I had an opportunity to be able to meet up with one of my guys from the BNI, Roger Lucas, and talk to people about title. Obviously, we always talk about credit, and then all of a sudden, as the things start off, we started firing off, and he's asking, he's talking about his stuff, and then Vivian's going, and she's telling, the audience or whatnot, introducing certain things. And then I'm thinking to myself, damn, I'm going through the process now myself. Like, all of a sudden I start brewing questions, because it's in my best interest. If I'm going through a process of trying to buy a home, I want to make sure that now that I have the owner of a title company, I want to know exactly what are the things that I'm going to go ahead and need, right? Or things that I should look for in case, because I've heard of situations in the past that usually people go and they go to buy a house, they're buying a house, and then all of a sudden, which is what happened literally to our motivational speaker, Les Brown. And I think of stuff like that he bought a home for his mom, and then all of a sudden, after buying the home, I guess the bank ran another check, and through the title process of it, there was a lien on the property. I think it was for like 50,000-60,000. He talks about this in his motivational speaking, and then all of a sudden, he had to come up with the money like in 48 hours. So obviously he wanted additional time. He's like, bro, give me like a month, give me like 2 weeks, give me something, and I'll try to come up with the money. Could I give you part now, part later? And then the guy, clearly he was just stuck, and he had bought his mom like the dream home, and at the end they had to foreclose on the property because they didn't want to give him enough time to pay whatever it was, the lien, that whatever. So situations like that happen, and God forbid if I buy this home, and then all of a sudden, we do a title search, something doesn't come up. So I was like, how could I go about finding out? How could I go about making sure? What documents do I need from public records in order for me to know that whoever's doing the job is doing a right job? For me, it's like, obviously, we want the right person for the job. People want to come into our office. They want the right person for the credit repair process, and the right processor, and the right account executive to explain certain things. But how do we confirm? How do we inspect that? And it's something that I've been kind of like, taking into myself, which is inspect to expect. That's like literally my motto right now. I'm about to inspect some stuff with Berto right now, because I just spoke to somebody. And we're going to expect, because that's exactly what it is right now, right? So it goes to the point that that's pretty much what was going on yesterday. I started asking the questions, but then when it came up to my turn, and kind of like the script turned around a little bit, and the guy started asking me questions, and then all of a sudden we get a person who calls in. And dude, I was just like, I went blank. I was like a deer with like headlights, which is kind of weird, and it hasn't happened to me in a long time. I'm so confident because usually on the way over there, I'm in my car, I put my little audio, or I put a video, or I start like kind of talking to myself about, you know, what's going to happen, or I go into Spanish scripts, which I usually prepare. This is the way that I prepare for these type of things, especially now, you know, since this morning, since I'm in the gym, I'm listening to multiple different audios. You know, I start listening to, I go into, instead of obviously listening to the radio or any kind of music, which usually I started off like that, I start getting my transition so that we get the marbles out of our mouths. So it's kind of like what I always say, especially to my sales team, you know, if we're going to get a brand new lead, we're not going to call that lead from the rip. Especially if we haven't spoken to other people, or sometimes we come in and we're not fully focused. You know, and that's one of the things that I'm going to highly encourage you guys to take, so that going forward, if you have somebody who has already, you know, signed up as a lead, don't call that person first, because you might not be fully equipped mentally. You just got up out of bed. You know, you maybe haven't taken your little colita, cafecito shot, or colita, cafecito shot, or maybe your little café con leche, or whatever it is that you guys do, your little rituals in the morning. And sometimes you go in and you start talking to somebody, and somebody's going to ask you a question, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you don't answer it to the best of your abilities or your capabilities. So that's more or less what happened. Really, just I wanted to go over that, guys. I wanted to give the audience a little bit of information, you know, a little bit of background, even within myself, as to my process of what I'm going through. Because in reality, it's you know, one of the things that I've been really thinking of is you know, sometimes we get so caught up in our day-to-day activities. Sometimes we get so caught up in relationships and situations. Sometimes we get caught up in arguments, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like we just stop dreaming. And I kept thinking about that, and obviously you guys know I'm a dreamer, and I'm always, you know, I want to seek more, and I want more, and I got to reallocate readjust my goals, and I'm going through that process right now. As a matter of fact, I've been kind of like brainstorming, and I feel like I'm going through, I was talking to Rose yesterday, and she's like, you're going through a midlife crisis. I'm like, damn, dude, I'm only 36. Like, how am I going to go through a midlife crisis, you know? But it's, I think it has to do with growth. I think it has to do with the level of awareness that we have within ourselves, and I feel like, you know, there's certain things that we're pretty much going back and forth, you know. That's what I was talking about last week. It's not how many times we fall, but it's how many times we get back up. So for me, in that aspect of it, I'm thinking about, you know, our customers and what their goals are, or what their dreams are. So sometimes we get so caught up in the day-to-day activities that we forget, you know, what our dreams are, or we don't really think about that, or we go through the motions, or we have so much stuff in front of our eyes. I tell that to my son all the time, dude, like, just pump the brakes on the Fortnite, or pump the brakes on the YouTube, or we get off an Xbox and we go through the Switch, and then we go through a tablet, and then we go through the TV, and it's like we don't have time to think for ourselves. We don't even, you know. And something that I love, also, we're going through a change, and he gave me the opportunity yesterday to go ahead and put nighttime affirmations, which is usually, you know, I put them nighttime lullabies and stuff for him, and it kind of soothes him, and he goes into that. And I think sometimes for us, we kind of stop dreaming, and to me, it's one of those things that we have to readjust our goals. So I wanted to go ahead and just talk a little bit about, you know, and give people a few tips as to what I'm going through with regards to the mortgage process. You know, obviously to inform you guys as well, so that you guys also know if you talk to somebody, more or less, that's the things that the customer needs besides credit repair. Because credit repair could be one of those things that we need to go ahead and adjust or fix in order for us to get to that goal, but it's not the only thing. And I think sometimes if we're not aware of the things that we need, we're just going to go through the motions. And it's like, and the process could be rigorous. It could take so long for you to get to your goals. How many times have we enrolled a person in the program, and then obviously after 6-8 months, we come to find out, no, I'm ready to buy. You're not ready to, you want to buy, but you're not ready. You know, you're going to need certain documentations. You're going to need to have certain things in order. And I wanted to go ahead and share some of the experiences that I'm going through right now. You know, at the age of 21, me and my brother, as a matter of fact, it was more because of him, we became homeowners. We bought he was 19 years old at the time, 19 or 20, and I was 21. and we ended up getting some money together. We used his credit, and we ended up buying a 2-1 apartment in Hialeah, and we were so excited. We were homeowners, and we caught that mortgage, and we caught that home at the boom. So we got it at the highest price possible, and then all of a sudden, when obviously the economy hit in 2007, 2008, I think it went from like $160,000 apartment all the way to I think almost 30 grand. It was ridiculous. Obviously, I would have loved to buy it at 30,000, but that obviously didn't happen. And we went through a process. I went through having horrible credit. The economy fell. I lost, a bunch of stuff. They repoed my car. I had over 40,000 in credit card debt. I went through the whole nine, the story of everybody's life. I was a mortgage broker, so imagínate, that was like a dinosaur type of career. That shit was going out of style. But whatever, things happen, and now I'm in the process now of getting there. As a matter of fact, 6 months ago, when I was ready to go ahead and buy, unfortunately, we found a clause on the lease agreement that the realtor created for the person who was the landlord. And it said that if I did buy the property within a period of time, that I would have to pay a penalty that he would have to pay a penalty of 6%, which the home is valued at $380. So the loan amount, it was going to come out to like $20-something thousand. And he had to come up. He obviously was like, well, no, you pay half and I pay half, and we're good. That wasn't going to happen. So we've waited this time, and through the process of waiting, guess what happened? Which I've said in the past, I got a late payment on one of my vehicles, like a dummy. I preach it, but guess what? Shit happens. And it happened to me, and now I'm obviously going through the process of repairing my credit again. As a matter of fact, I've never stopped repairing my credit. Since I started repairing credit, I've always done my own disputes. I constantly go ahead and dispute my inquiries, because as a business owner, I apply for certain things, and if you don't have business credit, like how I started initially, I didn't have that. I had to apply for certain things using my personal credit. I've acquired so many inquiries. In order for me to, when I first started having obviously bad credit, and I got into the program, started going through the motions, guess what? Nothing was coming off. There's not a lot of Justo Resol Villalobos out there, so the similarity of the links of the accounts, when obviously we know about the synthetic ID aspect of it, so nothing was coming up. I had to go ahead and add so many credit cards, so I have a stack of credit cards right now to go ahead and offset the negative information. So you guys out there obviously going through the motions of trying to be a homeowner, you need to continue every 30 days to apply for a new line of credit, a new credit card. And not only that, focus on the existing ones that you have. Not only that, continue to ask for line increases every 4 to 6 months. Add yourself as an authorized user on some of the credit cards. So out of the 40 that I have, a lot of them are authorized user accounts. But it was needed in order for me to elevate the scores to where it was needed. So obviously I went through that journey. But nevertheless, let's go into certain things that people are really going to go ahead and need, I guess, through the process of acquiring a mortgage. So one of the things, obviously, lenders are going to want to know what your financial situation is. So you're going to need a minimum of 2 years tax returns. Either, if in this particular case, if you're a business owner, depending on the type of how your accountant created or the structure of the business, either you have a Schedule C, which is basically a combination of you with taxes with the business, if it's an LLC, if it's a corporation, but they're basically going to want to know everything. So in that particular case, you're going to need, and it's basically runs by two, so 2 years tax returns. You're also going to need 2-month pay stubs. If obviously you're self-employed, depending on the type of qualification or what exactly the type of loan that you're actually applying for, either you're going conventional, no docs type stuff. And again, I was a broker back then. It's not my specialty anymore. So obviously for you guys obviously watching, you have to talk to your lender, you have to talk to your banker, you have to talk to your mortgage broker, and really just ask with regards to the documents you're going to need. But obviously they're going to need pay stubs, and also in this particular case, W-2s, proof of income. They're also going to need bank statements, 2 months of bank statements. In that particular case, they're going to need all types of bank statements. So in this case, if I'm a business owner, they're going to want 2 months bank statements of all my businesses and also on my personal. So, I'm sorry?
They require any seasoning on that?
No. Which is seasoning basically, well, there is a requirement, which is one of the things right now that I have shared accounts on my personal with my mom. So they're going to need letters. they're going to need letters from the joint person that I'm actually going to use the money on the account. So the money that's in the account is mine, but since there's another name on the account and that person's not part of the loan, there's going to have to be, you're going to have to draft a letter letting the lender know that we're going to use those assets as part of either a down payment, closing costs, or whatever is necessary. Another thing also, if you have any additional assets such as a 401k statements, print that out. Also, maybe an IRA, savings account, bonds, any type of assets that you have, disclose that, because obviously that just creates a little bit more strength with regards to the assets that you have. Clearly, obviously, you're going to go ahead and need credit history. So minimum, right now, if I'm not mistaken, you could buy a home at a 580 credit score. Do you really want to buy a home at a 580 credit score? I really wouldn't even entertain that idea, because right now the rates are actually pretty good. As a matter of fact, anything above a 620, you could more or less get anywhere from a 3.8 to a 4%. Over a 680, 3.5. And anything over 720, 740, you could really negotiate a rate to a little bit less. The difference between that and a point, we're talking anywhere on a $300,000 property, 250. Obviously, here in Miami, everything's expensive. We could be talking anywhere from $300 to $500 per month. So now, for you guys out there wanting to obviously achieve that goal, or your dream is to eventually buy a home, prepare for that. Set yourself up for success. So it's not something that all of a sudden you're thinking about buying a home, because again, it could take time for you to reach that. Try to get the highest score possible so you're able to get the best rate. If we talk about $200 a month difference in a matter of 12 months, $2,400 in a matter of 5 years, which is an average length of time that somebody usually has a house before either they refinance or they sell, we could be talking $15,000, $16,000. It's a lot amount, $12,000. Again, it depends, $200, $500 difference. If we talk 20 grand, So would it make sense for you to be patient, for you to hold off? I think so. It's going to be in your best interest. And other things too is if you're getting some sort of like gift letter. A gift. A gift could be something, let's say as an example, you're going to need additional income and you don't have it, but your mom does, or your brother does, or your father does, and then they're going to need a required letter for that. So also, you're going to need obviously photo ID for the people, like in this particular case, myself, who's not a citizen yet. I'm going to need my resident card, and also you're going to need rental history. So if you could actually have a voucher of if you've lived in an apartment, for you guys out there that live in an apartment or probably paying under the table, it's not going to be a good thing either, because lenders are going to want to require some sort of evidence or proof as to what you're paying. A lease agreement from an apartment, and if you do pay them, don't pay cash or have a receipt, because that's going to be what you're going to use for that. And additional things too, obviously going through that whole title process. I was talking to my friend Roger, and I was asking with regards to what is it that do I need to talk to you, or is the bank going to talk to you? Is the realtor going to go ahead and talk to you? How do we set that whole title thing up? So obviously there's really good information online. If you go to miamidade.gov, or in this particular case, wherever you guys are from, go to your city's website, and you can actually register and see a lot of information with regards to the property that you want to go ahead and buy. So one of the things which is kind of interesting to me, and I was kind of concerned, is my taxes. So the time that the person bought the home, which was back like 5-6 years ago, the taxes were almost at $3,000 and change. And then you could literally see the taxes that if I buy this year, they're gonna go up to $5,000. Actually, like $5,200, $5,800. Yeah, we looked into that. So that's a huge difference. There's obviously going to be an offset, because taxes are actually paid in November. So they're actually done at arrears. As the first time that you could actually start paying for taxes is going to be November, and you get a 4% discount. December, 3% discount. January, 2% discount. February, 1% discount, and then obviously they're due. So the sooner that you buy them. Correct. So then, depending on when you pay your taxes, you could get a break with regards to the percentage. What Jackie was talking about is the homestead exemption tax, which basically, if you have that as a primary residence, you could get up to 25% off your taxes because it's your primary residence. So obviously that's something that you guys have to know and have to go ahead and apply for, so that you guess what, whatever the total amount of taxes, you're going to get a percentage discounted off of that. So nevertheless, talk to your banks, talk to your mortgage broker, your lenders, get all your information, get as much information as possible. And like I said before, inspect to expect. Don't just think because this person is a broker, we don't know how experienced, or we want to go ahead and cross-reference certain things. There's going to be certain things that you're going to require too at closing, which I actually wrote a few things too as well. You're going to need a buyer's agreement, a purchase agreement. You're going to need, there's actually a seller's disclosure agreement. You're also going to need a home inspection. That's actually something that I just recently did right now on our home. Given the fact that the AC that I have, as you guys know, I've been having an AC issue. It literally broke and it had to be completely fixed. And I come to find out after this whole ordeal, after talking to the landlord, that if I'm still a tenant, I actually got a thing that my guy sent me, and if I'm a tenant and my AC goes out, he is responsible to replace the entire unit. Oh. And guess what? He got me. He got me for some. Right? So nevertheless, it's gonna get added to the total sales price. Nevertheless, bro, it's Florida, man. I don't really care what I gotta pay for it, but it's scorching hot, 85 degrees, 90 degrees in a house. You need to take care of that. So for you guys out there, before you go ahead and buy a home, do an inspection, get all the details. So, and especially if you're buying the home where you're renting, make sure that the landlord takes care of those things prior to you getting into some sort of agreement or to signing any kind of documentation or whatnot. Because if not, you're obviously going to pay more once that equipment goes out. And the inspection is really important because it's going to give you information on the roof. It's going to give you information if there's any kind of leakage, drainage, foundation. It goes into washer, dryers, equipment, all of that, mold. So, and you want to know that because there's a lot of people that also I've heard in the past, oh, I got into a home, or whoever it is, maybe they did the inspection on the low and you know, somebody probably cut corners. And then all of a sudden you get stuck with something and you have to vacate the property. So we obviously have to inspect to expect, and I hope obviously this information helps you guys out there. Obviously this is something that I'm going through. This is my dream. This is a desire that I've always wanted, obviously, to have a house. So this will be my first home, and hopefully from there other things are going to happen. So that's pretty much what I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys, and obviously the audience.